Alright y'all, well how is it going? Quick update before we get into today's video, since it is going to be a little bit out of the ordinary. The weather has not been ideal here. It's been very wet, rainy, just dreary, and extremely windy. So I think the past week it's been blowing like 20 plus every single day. That's definitely not ideal for the things that I like to do, what we do on the channel. So over the past week I've been kind of doing some things. I haven't really been filming much. But I have been thinking about what I do want to make a video over this week, and I have decided we're going to be doing actually multiple things. And before we get into that, I just want to update you guys on what I have been doing. I've been in the pool a lot. I've actually been getting back into the free diving breath hold routine. So I've been in there a little bit, doing some breath holds, just swimming around, holding my breath, things like that. And then I actually started throwing a fly rod. So something I haven't done on this channel is fly fish at all, and I've been doing that for this week, I believe. I think it's only been, I've been doing it like almost every day. And I actually went out yesterday for my first time, and unfortunately I broke the rod, but that is nothing new to me. I'm a rod breaker. I break rods a lot, just I don't really show you guys, but yeah, I'm gonna roll some clips right now. I actually was in the pool practicing with a pole spear, something we haven't really done on this channel very much, so I hope to do this summer. So I'm gonna roll that, training with the pole spear, and then my first time ever fly fishing. So I'm gonna roll those clips, get some things ready, and then once we get back in here, we're actually going to be making a spearfishing flasher, something I haven't really done ever. I've made one flasher before, but it was no bueno. So today we're really gonna give it a shot, make something that is gonna last and be actually usable, something that hopefully draws in the fish. So I'm gonna get all these things prepared, planned out, and then towards the latter half of the video, we're actually gonna be doing a cooking segment. And during that cooking segment, I'm gonna go pick some of the fish in my freezer, and I'm gonna answer some of you guys' questions, some things that are commonly asked. Yeah, so we're gonna have like a little Q&A during the cooking after we make a flasher. So that is the plan. Let's roll those clips and let me get all these things ready to go. Alright, so check it out. First time ever fly fishing. This looks like Shrek's swamp. Is that a sheep's head? Yeah, they should eat a fly. Lost sight of it. Alright y'all, well there you have it. So I've just been thinking about what we're gonna do today. I myself do not want to go buy those expensive flasher pieces and just all the jazz that comes along with that, all the bells and whistles for the flasher. So what I'm gonna do today is use mostly recycled material, that being like this piece of plastic. I have a broken container here, clear container, pretty flimsy, but I guess not really durable plastic, but durable enough for what I'm gonna try and do. So that's what we're gonna actually make the fish imitations with. And what I'm gonna do to make them shiny, I guess, is use these flasher stickers. I actually got these from H2O Vinyl Designs. I bought these actually a long time ago. I just never have put them to use. So I thought these would be perfect for making the actual flashers. Quick explanation for why I'm using plastic. I actually learned this from Chris Coates. That's what really gave me the inspiration to do this video. It really taught me how to make a flasher, but I'm just gonna put my own twist on it, use some things that maybe us in America or other people have access to, and that being the physical fish flashers. So in his video, I saw that he was able to buy the plastic fish imitation flashers. Unfortunately, I don't want to pay the money to get those, and I don't really know where to get good ones. He also said use plastic, don't use metal. Before, in my old flasher, I used metal pieces to make the fish, and really the limitation with that is that in the water with the current, they can't really flutter around like a real looking fish. So I'm gonna use plastic. They'll be a little bit lighter, and the current will really be able to move them around and give that glimmer and flash that you want. So it's gonna be more realistic if we use something a little bit lighter. And then we're gonna be using monofilament 100-pound test. I actually got this float a while back. This is a flasher float, and it came with 400-pound black mono. I don't really know why they use black, because fish can see the line. The only thing I can think of is that it's just safer. The divers can actually see the line going down, and you don't really run into it, you get tangled up. So that's the only thing I can think of, but when I'm trying to lure in fish, I don't want them to see the line. So I'm gonna be using this 100-pound, and then I'm just gonna be tying knots onto whatever I'm using. So that is the float we're gonna be using. Basically, we're gonna be winding the line and all of the flashers onto here, and then it will float at the surface as the flashers do what they do. So now, the bread and butter, I guess you can say, of the flasher is this little deal. So I'm gonna make a lot bigger one. This was just my initial test, first trial run that I made. This thing is what is known as a buzz bomb. I think this is where this video is going to come in handy, because in the video I mentioned by Chris Coates, he made one of these, and he used the interior lining of a wine box. I guess they have that kind of liner in their wine boxes in Europe, Africa, Australia. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find wine. Well, I'm actually not even 21, so I can't even buy a wine box. And I don't even think they have them in the wine boxes here. So I've been looking around, and I actually found this material. This is actually called myelin, and it is essentially a durable, reflective, kind of aluminum feeling sheet. It's very thin, but it is, like I said, it's durable. So I looked it up, looked at reviews, and this is supposed to last very well in water. It's not gonna lose its shine. This is what we're gonna be doing. I already cut out a square that we're gonna be using to make one of these. This probably doesn't look like much, but I already tested it out in the water. And whenever it's in the water, kind of going up and down, it has a very nice, fluttery, squid-like action. I guess we'll test it out at the end of the video. That's enough rambling. Like I said, we're gonna be doing a cooking and a Q&A at the end of the video. I'm gonna go pick out what fish we're gonna get, and then we're gonna get into this. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys too much, but I'm gonna figure out what we wanna cook tonight, and then we will make that flasher, so. All right, here's the ever so famous overflowed with ice freezer. Got some red snapper right there, maybe. Let's see if we have anything else, just to see our options here. All right, so red snapper it is. We got 2 little fillets there, so that should be plenty of food. Looking good. Let's thaw this thing out and make this flasher. All right, y'all, so here is the plan, how we're gonna get started here. I think what I'm gonna do is get a marker and trace out the shapes of the fish on here. These scissors are probably gonna be so dull after this. All right, well, there's our rough cut. I'm just gonna clean up the edges here, and we'll see how she looks. I'm actually gonna leave a little space in between the flasher in case the edges get kind of beat up. I don't want the actual tape to start ripping off and pulling up, so I'm just gonna leave that small little edge up here so it's a little more durable and that tape is protected. This little curved part right here, I'm having trouble cutting with scissors, so I'm gonna heat it up over the stove and see if we can bend it out a little bit. Yeah, that's definitely helping. The plastic is less rigid this way. Boom, that looks so good. A little bit rough, not exactly the cleanest, but it'll work. And like I was saying earlier, right here, I'm just gonna punch a hole and tie the line through it, and then we'll put the eyeball on. All right, simple as that. And then cut a little square out, and then we'll get the eyes rounded off. Now, I don't really care how this looks. I'm not trying to make it perfect, as it is going to get beat up and thrown around, so. Boom, first eyeball on. Heating them up is actually helping speed up the cutting process up a lot, so that's what I'm doing. I just heated this up, zipped right through it, and now we're just gonna clean up the edges. I have cut out, rough cut 7 of these. I actually left one on the stove for a second and it touched the burner, but I think it'll still work fine. The plastic seems durable enough. But I'm just gonna clean these up, get some stickers on there, and we should have 7. So when I was actually doing research on these flashers, a common mistake that many people make when they make these things is that they put too many fish imitations on there. Basically just putting tons and tons of flashy little lures, plastic flashers like this on there. So what I'm gonna do with this one is keep it pretty basic. I'm gonna put, I think 6 or 7 of these on there, but what I've read is that too many actually will deter the fish. There will be so many that it will seem unrealistic, so I'm gonna try to keep it as real as I can. The last thing on the end, which will actually have a weight, will be this. So we're almost done. Just got a few more things to do, and then we gotta lace it all up, and we'll see how it looks. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break from the flasher making and start cooking. Now, before we start, I just wanna say that I bumped my camera into a different setting and we got no audio, so I'm just gonna do a voiceover here. So yeah, here I am pulling the fish out. Now, I'm pulling it out of the vacuum sealed bags, and I noticed it is pretty moist. I guess some moisture got in there, or it wasn't completely dried when it was sealed. So I'm just gonna dry it with paper towels. And really what you want to do when you're cooking fish is try to get the meat, the flesh, and even the skin, if you're going to do it on the half shell, as completely dry as possible. Get all the slime off, and once you do that, put it in the pan. And here I have put vegetable oil under, and then once I get everything ready, I'm going to put another layer of vegetable oil actually on top onto the meat. So here I'm just laying the last fillet down, and everything's dried up, ready to go, preheating the oven. Here's a look at the fillets before I season them. So yeah, like I was saying, here I'm just putting on the vegetable oil, and then we're gonna get everything seasoned up. I got some salt, pepper, and we're just putting a light layer here. And then we're gonna put some butter on there. I do this practically all of my fish. All I do is just slice a chunk of butter up and distribute it over the fish pretty evenly. As much as you want, it's really personal preference. And then once we do that, we're gonna put our seasoning on here. It's called Tony's Sasheries or Creole. Now you don't wanna go overboard with this. I'm just gonna dust a light layer on here so I can still taste the fish and not just the seasoning. And there you have it. We're all ready to go. Fish is ready to go in the oven, and then we just gotta wait on it to hit 350 degrees. Alrighty, let's jump into this Q&A. The questions that I'm going to be answering are going to be commonly asked questions from my YouTube channel, just any video, just comments that I get all the time, and then questions that were specifically designated for this video. I'm gonna jump right into it. First question, how much leader line do you use when fishing spoon? So I guess he is referring to the jetties. Now this year this has actually changed. I've adjusted to make larger leaders. Now my answer to that question would be as long as you can make it to comfortably cast. For me personally, that's about 4 feet. So I would say, generally speaking, 3 to 4 feet, give or take, I would recommend, just because those jetty rocks are non-forgiving. I've broken off a ton of fish, just so many fish that I don't even show them on YouTube. Yeah, so get as much abrasion resistance as you can. I'm currently running 80-pound mono. But another big factor that goes into jetty fishing is your drag. So you're just really gonna have to play with it, figure out what works for you. But yeah, I would definitely say 3 to 4 feet for sure of pretty heavy mono. All right, what spinning rod and reel setup are you using? I don't really know what video this was referring to. I'm just gonna answer that for the jetties and then the Florida videos I just did. At the jetties, I'm primarily using a 9-foot St. Croix. It is a medium action, I believe. And then on that, I'm running a 5500 pin slammer, or I'll be running a 6500 spin fisher. It has a live liner deal on there, but you don't need it if you're gonna be throwing lures. And then I think it might have been from the Florida video, but if it is, my answer, in Florida I was throwing an 8-foot Hellebomb rod. It was a medium action, and then that was paired with a 5500 pin slammer. The other rod I was using was a 6'4" pin Rampage jigging, I believe, and then I had a 6500 live liner spin fisher on that. So those are the rods I primarily use. I think, is this camera shaking? I feel like it's shaking. I don't know. All right, so the next one is not a question, but it was just something I wanted to comment on. One of my recent videos, I got a comment saying, really cruel to pick up a fish, a living fish, by sticking your fingers in its eyes. Don't you think that it is important to be as humane as possible towards animals? They feel pain just like us. Yes, my answer is yes. What they're referring to, however, was when I was catching snapper and holding them by the eyes. Now, yes, I was gouging their eyeballs when I was holding them, but what they didn't mention or they misinterpreted was that those fish, the fish that I grabbed by the eyeballs are going to the icebox. I'm gonna keep them and eat them. In that scenario, I don't think it's inhumane if the fish is gonna die and I'm gonna eat it. In the case that I am gonna release it, I'm not gonna grab the snapper or any fish by the eyeballs. Usually, if I know I'm not gonna keep it, I'll just grab the leader, pull it into the boat, get the hook out, and then let it go on its way. So just wanted to clear that up. I've seen comments that people kind of just jump to conclusions and don't really understand what's going on. So I just wanted to include that in here to enlighten some people who comment before they really know. Anyways, the next question says, would you say you use primarily 2 or 3 ounce spoons at the jetties? That definitely varies. So basically, a 2 ounce spoon is, number one, cheaper. You can get a pack of 12 for like $10 or $12 less. That's what I've been doing lately just to save a couple bucks. But as far as conditions go and preference aside from budget, I typically prefer a 3 ounce spoon when the weather is less than ideal. So I'm saying like winds past 15 miles an hour, 20 and up. It really helps to be able to launch that spoon with a 3 ounce. And then and the other scenario is when the current is ripping at the jetties, as it often does. That 3 ounce will really sink a lot better and not really get towed by the current as much, opposed to a 2 ounce. On the contrary to that, the 2 ounce spoon is good for ideal conditions, so when the wind is lower and there is not much current. And one thing I wanted to note that I noticed recently is that the 2 ounce spoons float a lot slower than the 3 ounce, and I get a lot of my bites on the fall, so that's one thing to consider. You have a 2 ounce spoon and a 3 ounce spoon, and they're both gonna flutter to the bottom, but that 3 ounce is gonna get down there a lot faster. So if you can throw the 2 ounce, throw it, because that fall, that extended period of time might increase your chances of hooking up. That's just one thing to consider. That's just my take on it. I don't really know how other people perceive or differentiate why they throw what they do, but that's what I would say just from personal experience. So I'm just gonna run over a few more since I don't want to run this video too long. So this one says, I want to start getting into spearfishing. I already have my own spear gun, but I am new, but I need to get a reel for it. I need to buy a suit. What is your recommendation for both? Plus, okay, that's not the question. All right. So if you are going to get a reel and a new suit, well, a spearfishing reel is really gonna depend on what gun you have. It's not specified here. I guess I can just run over a few. Well, first of all, if your gun is a brand that makes reels, I would recommend pairing it with the same brand, say like a Rob Allen. They make their own reels. They fit very seamlessly. Rife makes their own reel. Aimrite makes their own reel. If you can do that, buy the one that is specific to the gun. One thing I wanted to mention though is I believe a company called Aussie Reels makes reels for an array of spear guns. And the reason I mention it is because the reels are made to kind of clamp onto the gun, so you don't actually have to screw into your pipe or the barrel. Given that I don't really know what spear gun you have, you might want to consider that. Also for me, if I can't slide the reel on, or if it doesn't already come with screw mounts inside the gun, especially a pipe gun, I don't want to be screwing into it afterwards. So get the brand that fits your gun or go for an Aussie. Now, if you have a wood gun, I think you have a little more room to play around with reels. And for those, I would say an Ula sub reel. Those are very sturdy and well built. I've handled one before and it was really nice. And then I would consider a Rife reel. Now, the reason I mentioned the Rife reel is they have a drag system. They have a drag system that goes from free spool to light drag to medium drag, a little heavier drag, and then full drag. I like that a lot. Other reels have a little knob on the bottom, and you can't really tune them as precisely as a lever drag of a Rife reel. If you're getting a wood gun, definitely consider those. All right, so the last question I'm going to cover, and then we're gonna finish up the flasher and pull the fish out, is by Logistics Snail. Okay, so he says, what got you into spearfishing and regular fishing, and which one would you prefer doing more over the other? All right, so what got me into spearfishing? You know, it's funny, I still remember the first thing that really sparked my interest. I was in 8th grade in science class. I don't remember what kind of science, but we were watching a video and it was of a guy freediving. I didn't really know what freediving was at the time, but I think it was, I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name. I'm trying to find the video. Here it is. It was called Ocean Gravity on YouTube. It's very intriguing. Shoot, I haven't watched this video in forever. I can't pronounce this guy's name, but So yeah, it basically looks like the moon's surface and then like space, and he's just free falling down and then just running. Basically what it is, it's demonstrating the ocean currents. So he's kind of going along with the current, doing like parkour, and it's pretty cool. So if you guys have some time to check it out, geez, look at this. I just gotta show y'all. So yeah, right there he's just floating down, and then the beat's gonna drop. That is the video that sparked my interest. It was 8th grade, we watched it. I don't even know why we watched it. I think it was because we were studying like ocean currents or something like that. But from there, I remember a couple of my buddies at the time actually went spearfishing offshore, and those kind of correlated, freedive spearfishing. So I quickly got into that. They kind of helped me out. Actually, first time I went offshore was with them. They helped me out with the gear and whatnot, and yeah, so I actually went offshore for my first time with them. That kind of introduced me to the realm of offshore. Previously to that, I'd never even gone offshore. I remember doing like jetty dives and then diving the pier. And then I did that for a few years. I would spearfish and fish offshore in the summers. And then from there, I started jetty fishing. So I started freedive spearfishing, and then I found jetty fishing something to do when the weather is bad here, which it is quite a bit. Down here, we can't really go offshore very much during the year, so that was kind of something to do. I started doing that for a while, and then I slowly worked my way into bay fishing. And what's funny is that when I was younger, I would go with my dad and brother, but I never really got into it. I didn't go a whole lot with them, but I definitely did fish before I started freediving spearfishing. It just wasn't as serious as I do now. But I think the main thing that really got me into it was just doing it alone, kind of learning, figuring it out by myself. I also really like kayak fishing in the bay. I don't know what it is, but like jetty fishing and kayak fishing are really fun for whatever reason. I think it's just maybe the challenge, or just being primitive, I guess, in a way. So you're fishing from land, or you're fishing from a boat that you're paddling yourself. I don't know, but that's how I got into it. And if I had to choose, which one do I prefer over the other? If I answer that right now, currently I would say spearfishing and freediving. I don't know if it's because I can't do it very often. It's a very seasonal thing. I get to do a few times a year. So I would definitely go with that. All right, so that is all the questions I'm gonna answer. I rambled on forever, I already know it. And yeah, so while the camera was all jacked yesterday, I finished up the flashers. We've got 7 here. Now I didn't have enough stickers to cover the back sides of all of these, but being that this is clear plastic, it still shines. The ones that I did double side shine a little bit more, but it's not really that big of a deal. It'll still work, and I did put eyes on both sides, so that's pretty cool. So we got 7 here. All we're gonna do now is make the buzz bomb, and then we're gonna tie this all together to complete the flasher. All right, y'all, so what we're gonna do for the buzz bomb is start with this deal right here. So basically, I just cut a big square sheet of this Mylar. I mispronounced it yesterday. Yeah, so what we're gonna do is, I guess we're gonna want to fold it in half this way. So fold it in half, crease it down the middle, and then what I'm gonna do is take my scissors and cut strips all the way up to the crease, probably around 1/2 inch to 3/4. I'm gonna do this all the way down, so I have a bunch of little strips, and then once I'm done with that, we're gonna flip it over and do it on the other side. All right, so we just finished cutting this up, and I got both sides finished. So yeah, the next step that I'm going to do is use the crease to fold and fold it over. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is get our weight. This is a 4. All right, I guess we'll just use a 4, that's all I got right here. And what we're gonna do is try to mimic this deal. And I'm gonna put the weight on one side here. And basically I'm just gonna start rolling. Trying to keep that eye of the weight out, because we're gonna need that tied on. All right, well this one already is looking a whole lot better than this thing. Check that out. And in the water, when it's fluttering, all of these pieces, the tentacles are just gonna flare out. It's gonna look real good. All right, there you have it. And we got the eye of the weight still up there, so we can just tie our line through there. Check that out. We got 7 little fish imitations and a buzz bomb squid. That's gonna be a good flasher right there. All right, y'all, so I have laced up 6 out of the 7 flashers, and I just wanna show y'all for the last one how I'm tying them onto the line. Now, I haven't tested this, so I don't know how it's gonna go. I guess I'll test it out in the pool tomorrow, see how everything sits in the water. I hope that the current kind of pulls it out and lets the flasher sit like this. For the majority of these, I'm just doing a simple loop, but for one of them near the bottom down here, I tied it directly with just 2 overhand knots. And I'm thinking that it will sit like this. That one for sure is gonna sit right. The only reason I'm not doing that on all of them is because it's gonna take forever if I tie them like that. And it could end up just being a giant cluster and tangle for tying it. Not necessarily once it's finished, but just for the ease of making the flasher, I'm doing these loops, and it kind of helps the fish representation kind of separate itself from the line. So I got one more. I'll show y'all how I rig it up. Also, the spacing on here, I just kind of eyeballed it. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the line. So here's the other flasher, here's the tag. Going up a little bit, measuring out what I want. And I'm taking a loop, overhand knot. So now I just have this loop right here, and then all I'm doing is running the loop through the hole I punched over the fish, and then kind of tightening it down. So there we have that. That's all I did. It's real fast and simple to do, so it's now attached to the flasher like that, and now we have the end of the line here. I just tied a simple loop on the line on the buoy already, so I'm just gonna do the same thing in the case that I do want to change the lines out, put a different flasher on, something like that. Now, I haven't tried this yet, obviously, so we're gonna see how it goes. But for right now, I'm just doing what I think will work without spending a whole lot of time on it. All right, so there's our loop connection right there. I'm just gonna trim the tag. So far, it looks really good. There we go, I'll wind it up. That thing looks like it is going to draw in some fish. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We definitely went over a learning curve there, had some camera difficulties, but we got it done. Looks pretty good. I think we're definitely gonna have some success with this thing. Hopefully gonna be luring in some snapper, kingfish, maybe some ling, I don't know. No telling what we're gonna get with this thing, but that will be my first ever completed, legit spearfishing flasher, so I'm excited to use it. I'll definitely keep you guys updated. But yeah, that's what we've been doing this week with the bad weather. We got some insane dust storms coming over from Africa. The wind has been insane. It's been 20 plus and it has been pouring down rain. So hopefully you guys have been out there doing some fishing, having more luck than me. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the weather clearing up here pretty soon so we can get back out there on the water. But until then, if you guys liked the video, please drop a like, subscribe down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.